So today I'm going to read an excerpt from chapter 3. And I know I said in yesterday's video that I was going to read from chapter 4, but I skipped ahead and I didn't even realize it. So this chapter is called The Niggle. And if you have followed my work for many years now, you know that after Frankie passed away, I adopted another special needs dachshund named Joey. Joey would unfortunately only be with me 10 months before I would come to discover the many, many different challenges that were going on inside of her body. And the best thing at that time was to let her go, even though it was a very, very difficult decision, as it always is when we have to say goodbye to our beloved pets. So after Joey passed away, the reason that portion of this chapter, the excerpt of this chapter I want to share with you, is I feel really important because so many of us, we want to tune into our intuition. We want to help. We want to use that to guide us, to follow our heart. But so often we ignore it for fear. Name the fear. There are so many different reasons why we choose to ignore those intuitive hits we get, or as my friend calls them, niggles, and I love the term so much that I adopted it, and that's why the name of this chapter is The Niggle. So this is the part of the chapter that I'm going to read, is after I had scattered Frankie's ashes, I went ahead and did the same with Joey's ashes on the anniversary of her death as well, and she's scattered here also. I'm in my Joyful Paws cottage, and she is scattered in the gardens around my cottage as well. So since retiring Frankie in early 2012, I had heard an inner whisper to slow down. For 5 years, we had been on a mission, one that had kept me especially busy, and though I would not change a thing about this beautiful and pivotal time in my life, I was exhausted. Yet I continued to ignore that inner voice. Just the idea of taking a step back from my work was scary, for through it I thought I'd found my purpose. Who was I without it, I wondered. Was this it? Was my purpose complete? These disconcerting questions ran endlessly through my mind, and when I adopted Joey, I thought perhaps I would continue the same work and mission, this time with her as my partner. But it wasn't meant to be. When I said goodbye to Joey, it was difficult to accept that this was yet another nudge from Spirit and an opportunity for me to slow down. I contemplated taking a 3-month sabbatical, but I kept fighting it. I didn't know how to do nothing. I also worried what others might think. In a society that glorifies busyness, would I be judged as lazy? I recalled the beginning of this journey, the publication of my first children's book, and how uncomfortable I was with the attention it brought. I had grown up painfully shy, and while over the years I had learned to be more outgoing when I needed to be, my true essence remained that of a homebody and someone who needs quite a bit of quiet time, and that is still true to this day. The idea of putting myself out there in the world as a writer and eventually a speaker seemed unthinkable, yet there I was doing it. So the chapter goes on just talking about, what a whirlwind I had those 6 years of, doing my work with Frankie out in the world, and then thinking perhaps I was going to do that with Joey, and then unfortunately having to say goodbye to her. And realizing that I would end up taking that sabbatical, and that is what I write about in my second memoir, The Wisdom of the Pause, Pause, Joey's Gift. And, I do write about sometimes when we do listen to that niggle, and we listen to that inner voice, it can feel very uncomfortable at first, but we're so conditioned to be in this busy state that when we do slow down, we start to hear more of our thoughts, and that can feel uncomfortable. But this is the work. This is the work of the niggle and listening to the inner voice, because it is going to have something grand to teach us to help move us forward. So that was the place I was at with the niggle, just, reflecting on that. And I also was trying not to think about another dog, but as I end this chapter, I say, as for the thoughts of another dog, well, that proved to be a bit more challenging. So next time I'm going to share with you chapter 4. This time, wait until you see my Gidget. All right, see you then.